Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, this Thursday edition of Focal Point. Now, we heard Debbie Wasserman Schultz yesterday saying, look, the problem here, this was just inadvertent. It was a glitch. It just dropped out of there. Nobody intended this. And Piers Morgan can't believe it. You mean it was an accident? You kicked God to the curb? You dumped God off the train? You threw him under the bus completely by accident? And Debbie Wasserman Schultz had no answer. So look, it's pages long. You got to pass this thing to find out what's not in it. And remember, don't forget that Barack Obama signed off on this platform. He signed off on it. It was only after he realized the problems they'd created for themselves by being who they are. Remember, Michelle Obama said, look, one of the things about being the president is it reveals who a man is. And that's what we're learning about Barack Obama. We've got that piece that David Barton wrote that Barack Obama is the most biblically hostile U.S. president we have ever had. He is hostile to biblical values. About 6 times now when he's recited the Declaration of Independence, he has omitted the word creator. He has an absolute positive distaste for Christianity and for the scriptures. He's not had a national day of prayer in the White House. He's having all kinds of iftar dinners and Ramadan dinners, and he's lighting Diwali candles for Hindus in the White House, but not a peep when it comes. No Easter proclamation last year. He's a biblically hostile president, and he is the leader of a biblically hostile party. So this was absolutely by design and by intention, and the effort to walk this thing back, just pure political pandering. And I think more and more Democrats are waking up and saying, hey, look, this is not my father's Democratic Party. I've got a copy of my father's New Testament that he was given by the United States government in World War II. It had a foreword written by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the Democrat president of the United States. And he writes in there about how this book has been a source of solace and comfort and guidance and direction for people down through the centuries. I commend it to you as the commander-in-chief. That's all gone. Democrats are nowhere on that kind of stuff. So anyway, they realized they had a big problem, getting beat about the head and shoulders by leaving God and Jerusalem out of the platform. Remember, they had removed any mention of Jerusalem being the capital of Israel. So they scrambled around yesterday to put that back in there. Now, what you have to do with a platform, once it's been adopted, if you're going to go back in there and you're going to change that thing, you're going to amend it, there are some rules you have to follow. You got to get a 2/3 vote to open the floor to an amendment to the platform. So they did that. Anthony Villaraigosa, he is the mayor of Los Angeles. He's the chair on this deal. He's running the thing. So he gets clearly a voice vote, 2/3, to accept amendments to the platform. Now, the other deal is if you propose an amendment, it has to pass by a 2/3 vote. It's got to pass by 2/3. So you can only present it if the motion to reconsider gets 2/3 votes, and then you got to get 2/3 to pass it and actually amend the platform. So the chairman of the platform committee, he makes the presentation, he presents these 2 amendments, and he presents them to Anthony Villaraigosa for a voice vote. Remember, all these are delegates. They've been sent there by their local parties, and they have political authority, if you want to use that term, to vote. And they have the right to vote and the right to weigh in, and the rules have a right to be followed and right to be observed. So here I want you to listen to Anthony Villaraigosa trying to get the result that they needed. Let's listen.
A motion has been made. Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the matter requires a 2/3 vote in the affirmative. All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the... Let me do that again. All of those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no.
Whoa, what's I do now? Help, Mom. Help me, Rhonda.
I guess.
Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
And then you've got to let them do what they're going to do.
Help me,
I'll do
Rhonda.
that one more time.
Help me, Rhonda.
All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 have voted in the affirmative. The motion is adopted, and the platform has been amended as shown on the screen. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, what you've got there is you heard the boos. So when he declared that this thing had passed, what he meant is that God was going back into the platform. So when those people were voting no, and they clearly seemed to me to be as loud or louder than the ayes. In other words, I think more people were voting no. We do not want God in our platform. We do not want Jerusalem to be acknowledged as the capital of Israel. They were voting no. Dana Bash from CNN, I mean, it's a left-wing, they're just ministers of propaganda over there for the left wing, and Dana Bash, CNN, said, no, I didn't get 2/3. No way that thing got 2/3. So Anthony Villaraigosa just rammed that thing through. This is exactly what John Boehner did. Remember, we talked to you about the fact that somebody had the cell phone out, took a video of the teleprompter while John Boehner is taking a vote from the floor on whether the convention rules are going to be amended in a way that's going to be tougher on the pro-family community to have their views represented. And the teleprompter told John Boehner to say the ayes have it, and they clearly did not, or it was clearly a very divided vote. So Anthony Villaraigosa, remember, you had to have 2/3, not just a majority. I mean, it's one thing if it's a majority, because you could maybe say, well, maybe that was a majority of ayes, and that would be a kind of a judgment call for the chair, and you can kind of appreciate that. But no, it had to be a clear 2/3, and this unquestionably was not. Now, here's what some of the left-wing media said about this complete debacle. I mean, this is an absolutely oafish, clumsy, completely politically goofballish. It was a debacle of historic proportions. Here's what CNN's John King said. That was embarrassing. Washington Post, that was very awkward. Chuck Todd, NBC, how do you mess up God and Jerusalem politics? That was a bad fumble. Politico, talk about bad optics. CNN, Wolf Blitzer, this is going to cause some angst out there. Democrat strategist Paul Begala, beyond awkward, embarrassing, stupid, and unforced error. And remember, these are their friends. These are card-carrying Democrats, liberals, saying this kind of stuff. BuzzFeed's Zeke Miller, unexpected procedural chaos. Washington Post, Jennifer Rubin, an embarrassment for the Obama campaign. CBS New York, Democrats fumble major Israel issue, put Jerusalem as capital and platform. CNN's Jessica Yellen, a self-inflicted wound. LA Times, the maneuver may have backfired. Huffington Post, an embarrassing moment for the party. Now, as I tried to suggest, there's a lot more to this than just a procedural chaos. Hadley Arcus, who was featured in a DVD that we did, Ed Vitagliano was the director and producer of that thing, called A Divorcing God. Very, very powerful DVD on faith in American life. And Hadley Arcus says, look, this is a lot more than just a procedural deal. And he was very disappointed in Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's response to this was so weak. You know, Romney had an opportunity to really drive a stake into the Democratic Party on this, and he just didn't do it because it's just not in Romney's core. It's just not there, ladies and gentlemen. It's not, I mean, religious faith, devotion, deeply held spirituality, it is just not in him, because if it was, then the issue of life and marriage would be a no-brainer for him. The fact that he can fumble all over the place on whether he's pro-abortion or pro-life or whether he's pro-marriage or for the gay agenda, the only reason he can do that is he's got no moral core, which indicates there's some kind of a spiritual vacuum right down there in his heart, and it comes out in the tepid response he made here. Now, Paul Ryan, different story, and Hadley Arcus saying, look, maybe Paul Ryan ought to weigh in on this and become a little bit more vigorous and a little bit more active. Now, here's what Hadley Arcus said about this God issue. It is not a matter of one word more or less, one or more mentions of God. The real heart of the issue is that most of the people in that hall and the Democratic convention really don't accept the understanding of rights contained in the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration appealed first to the laws of nature and nature's God as the very ground of our natural rights. The drafters declared that self-evident truth that all men are created equal, and then immediately that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And Hadley Arkas's point is, look, what you heard from the Democratic Convention is those people don't believe that. They not only have thrown God under the bus, they have shredded the Declaration of Independence. It has no value. It has no standing. It has no meaning in their minds. It's gone. It's not a part of their value system whatsoever. And that is the most troubling thing about what happened yesterday. You've got now one of the two most political parties in the United States that is fundamentally, profoundly un-American. Let me repeat that. We were founded on the concept. We were grounded on a religious principle, a religious concept, a religious truth that there is a creator, and that this creator, not government, is the source of our unalienable rights. And they are unalienable. They cannot be separated from us. They cannot be alienated from us. They can't be taken from us by any man or any government, because they are a gift to us from God. And Hadley Arkas's point now, that's what it means to be an American. You cannot be an American without believing that, without embracing that. That's part of what makes us one nation under God, is that's what we believe. So now you have one of the two most powerful political parties in America is fundamentally, profoundly un-American, fundamentally, profoundly anti-American. We have one of the two major political parties in America has flatly rejected the foundational document of the American Republic. 888-589-8840 if you want to weigh in. 888-589-8840. Call in and let us know what you think about what happened yesterday on the floor of the Democratic National Convention. 888-589-8840. You are listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. Stay with us. We'll be back in just 2 minutes.